Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of New England Nation Extra. I'm Erik Slater for WPRI, and today I'm going to be focusing on the major storylines surrounding the Patriots' defense through the first 2 weeks of training camp. And the headlines surrounding the Patriots thus far have been about the offense and their struggles, a unit that a couple of days ago had one of their worst practices of training camp. It was a big headline everywhere, but there has not been as much praise for the defense, despite the unit coming into camp with a ton of question marks and performing extremely well thus far. And today I'm going to be focusing on a couple of position groups that have really allowed the defense to take control of these practices and dominate. And the first is that defensive line anchoring that front seven. The defensive line has been the most dominant position group thus far in camp of any offense or defense. And this is a Patriots defense that ranked 23rd in pass rush win rate last season. And a big reason for their early dominance is the interior duo of Davon Godchaux and Christian Barmore. That duo is looking more and more likely to be New England's primary pairing on the interior D-line. Godchaux signed a 2-year, $21 million contract at the beginning of camp, and they're already seeing those returns. He anchors the inside as the primary run stopper on that front seven, ranked 5th on the team in tackles last year, and really flashed his ability to plug gaps and maintain leverage in the middle. And Christian Barmore next to him was the hot name coming into the camp for this Pats defense. The Patriots are extremely high on the second-year DT out of Alabama, and Barmore brings elite pass rushing upside on the interior at 6'5", 310 pounds with great quickness, got really precise hands. Remember, this is a guy who ran a 4.93 in the 40 at the combine at over 300 pounds. Just freakish athleticism that allows him to do a lot of things in the run game and as a pass rusher. And his 48 QB pressures as a rookie were over 10 more than any other rookie interior defensive lineman in the last 5 seasons. And he is primed for a breakout this season and to provide a huge lift for a Pats defense where pressuring the quarterback is an absolute necessity. And the reason generating pressure is a bigger necessity this year than years past is the cornerbacks. The Patriots have some fairly glaring holes at cornerback. They lost Pro Bowler J.C. Jackson to the Chargers and are left without a true number one on the outside. Jalen Mills is stepping into that top corner role on the outside, and the battle opposite him is between Terrence Mitchell and Malcolm Butler. And thus far, it's been Mitchell taking the first team reps opposite Mills, has been the first one out to practice nearly every day, at least was through the first week of camp, and has shown decent returns so far. But none of these three possess great man coverage ability on the outside, and the strength of the group is going to lie at slot corner with Jonathan Jones. Jones played only 6 games last season while dealing with a shoulder injury, but he's been among the top slot corners in the NFL when he's on the field. Jones ranked 4th in the league in slot coverage grade over the 2019 and 2020 seasons, and he is going to be on the field a lot. This is a team that spent 65% of last season in nickel packages, which is 5 defensive backs. That ranked 11th in the entire league. But the big question is, how do these defensive deficiencies at cornerback affect New England's scheme? The Patriots ranked 3rd in the league in man coverage rate last season, love to play man coverage. Does Belichick now revert more to a zone-heavy scheme, or does he trust these corners to hold up on the outside in that man scheme? That's going to be a huge storyline heading into the open weeks of the season, and we're going to gain a little bit more clarity on that in this opening preseason game of the season against the New York Giants on Thursday. And another position group, along with the defensive line, that is going to help to alleviate some of the stresses and the deficiencies at cornerback and honestly linebacker as well, is the safety position and the talented trio that New England boasts on the back end. And New England's biggest asset as a defense is the versatility of the safety group. Many would argue that the trio of Devin McCourty, Kyle Duggar, and Adrian Phillips cements the safeties as the most talented position group on the team. McCourty is returning for his 13th season as New England's starting free safety. Unbelievably, this is a guy who's only missed 5 games in 12 seasons. 5 games in 12 seasons in the NFL at a physical position at safety. That is one of the more impressive stats that you're ever going to hear in terms of durability from a veteran on a defense. And Kyle Duggar and Adrian Phillips tied for the 2nd most tackles on the team last season with 92, while also combining for 8 TFLs and 8 interceptions. And they also brought in Jabril Peppers, and second-year safety Joshua Bledsoe has impressed early at camp. Duggar spoke on the versatility of the safety group and how that can be an asset for the defense.
It's huge. Always great to be able to mix things up with similar body types and have similar body types go in a lot of different places, which is what that allows us to do. And so on any given play, the offense doesn't really know for sure where we are, what we're doing, and it just makes things that much harder on them.
So Duggar speaking on New England being able to get into some different positions, throw some different looks, change things up for quarterbacks. They're not sure exactly what coverage, what fronts they're getting. And New England loves to play 3 safety sets. That's how they like to mix up a lot of these looks. And that makes sense given how talented this group is. When 3 of your best players on defense are safeties, obviously you're going to want to have them on the field at one time. And that's what they did last season. The Pats played dime on 21% of their defensive snaps last season. And that's the highest rate of any team in the league, dime being 6 defensive backs on the field at one time. And that could be even higher this year given the lack of depth at linebacker. Juwan Bentley is the only proven commodity at linebacker. The Patriots also have Raekwon McMillan coming back from injury last season, and they also brought in Mac Wilson in a trade from the Browns. So they're brought in some new faces there, but Juwan Bentley, the only proven commodity there. And Belichick could look to employ more dime packages with Duggar, Phillips, or Peppers in the box as a 6th defensive back, but those guys, Duggar, Phillips, and Peppers, Duggar 220 pounds, Peppers 215 pounds, Phillips 210 pounds, all more physical, aggressive safeties that can play down in the box. So when you get into that dime package, you could rush 4, and then you could also have your 6 defensive backs in the dime and move one of those safeties like Duggar, Phillips, or Peppers, the bigger guys, down into the box alongside Bentley, only having 1 linebacker in there, but having that 6th defensive back in there in a hybrid linebacker role. And with those guys all being that physical, bigger type of safety who can hold up in the box, provide run support. It makes it a lot easier to do those kinds of things, and it gives your defense a lot more versatility in terms of the balance between run stuffing and also having versatile guys who can stay in the box or drop into pass coverage from the box. So that's a huge asset to this team because it allows the Patriots to give offenses different looks. It allows them to change up some of the things they do in terms of scheme, and it allows them to really emphasize the strength of their team, which is that safety trio and also the defensive line, as I touched on earlier. So when monitoring this Patriots defense as we head into the first preseason game on Thursday against the New York Giants, things to look out for: how much man coverage are they playing versus zone schemes? Is there any shift in that from last season because of the deficiencies at cornerbacks? Can the Patriots get home with that talented pass rushing duo of Christian Barmore and also the run stuffer in Devon Gotcha? Also have Matthew Judon on the outside and some backup OLBs in Josh Uche, Anthony Jennings, Ronnie Perkins. Can those guys get pressure, take pressure off the cornerbacks? And also, are there a ton of 3 safety looks? I certainly expect there to be. And how do those looks make things difficult for the offense in terms of giving them different sets and kind of changing up the QB's eyes and things that he has to look for out there on the field? So going to have more coverage here on WPRI of everything happening with the New England Patriots throughout training camp. And as we get more into these preseason games, I'm Erik Slater, and I'll talk to you guys soon.